matters that tell us to prepare for better life, we don't take them serious. I heard my friend said that the trade union people are not here. This room should be filled. It's an important exercise. But again, those of us who are committed will continue to speak, even though our voices may not be recognized, we will speak anyhow. A German philosopher once said, health could not be everything, but without health, everything is nothing. If you don't have health, you have nothing. We live in a country where for many, finding 3 square meters a day is a project. The safety and health of the citizens in their daily struggles for survival is not an important consideration. You've had all the technical people speak on the issue of OSH. It's relatively a new phenomenon in our country. I will speak about us. You know, we're poor. And there's nothing that has caused humanity more suffering and humiliation than poverty. And poverty defined is not just for poverty of material stuff. Poverty of positive attitude. Poverty of ideas. Poverty of our minds. And poverty of love of nation. And poverty has its lot of adverse effect on development. That's why when you call out for people to come to a place like this and listen to ideas and find solutions on the way forward, you don't get them. I have sat here and listened to the experts talk about ocean articles and codes, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what we do day to day as we move on. I'm interested in their quotations because they know the international meetings and membership of Ghana and ILO and all that is there. But every year, we go to these summits and summons and we come back in the same old story. In most advanced countries, the duty imposed on employers to ensure the safety and health of the employee has been stretched progressively to include foreseeable harm. This is talking about data. How do we report accidents? How do we collate our records? Everywhere in the world, you notice, physical toil is being replaced by mental effort. Data record keeping is critical in this modern world. The essence of electronic data and computers is they have reached a point where they command facilities of human memory and judgment far more than any time in our human history. It is regrettable, therefore, that in Ghana there's no effective means for collating statistics on occupational injuries. In fact, you have not seen it yet, unless a member of your family, you yourself, get an accident and you're rushed to an emergency hospital here in Accra, Kolebu, call it. You notice that the patient is in grave or excruciating pain. And then the nurse will take a card, asking the patient, do you have any insurance? And I am saying to myself, the man is about to take his last breath. Oh, you need to pay 50 cedis for the card. It's real. I've seen it. People laying on the floor in pain. And in the end, they may tell you that there are no beds. It is hurting our development and our country. Right now, as I speak to you, there are agencies and ministries in this country who are still writing manual receipts. Manual receipts. And they do that so that they can keep the record as their personal property for personal gain. Because I cannot understand that 2017, 21st century, you go to a ministry or department in this country, in Accra, and somebody pulls out a manual receipt. But it happens all the time. You go to the Lands Commission and you're looking for a file, and some old man will climb the stairs and come back with a dusty file, and you ask for his title and he said senior file clerk. Somebody who's been working there for 30 and he's risen up in the ranks, and his title is a senior file clerk. Do not know anything about computers and data. As a country, there are young people who understand the language of computers, many more, but they can't find jobs because our country and leadership has not sought to take advantage of these outsourcing jobs that are being shipped to other places. Bangalore in India. Young people are working as data filers and call centers and making $500–600 a month. I have said we do speak better English here in Ghana than Indians. And we're closer to Europe than they are. And if we prepare our country to employ our youth, we could set shop, could find a way to take advantage of the massive outsourcing jobs that are being shipped to other countries. We talk about occupational hazards, and as you know, you drive and you see huge constructions being built, huge buildings with cranes, and you find a worker working there with Tokota. In such a place. Now you want to find out if the employer or the supervisor has seen him or not. We'll look away. Whether the insurance company will come by and say that, well, I am not going to pay any claims if you keep workers here wearing these Togotas and not with helmets. You can't find that anywhere. But the person will do that for years. And one day, he gets hurt. And he passes away. And then they will say that, oh, don't try to bring God into your foolishness or your neglect or your irresponsibility. That's what we're confronted with. I'm going to make this very short. All these things we're talking about is there. The law is there. They know it. But there's a total breakdown of law enforcement and law. According to the international ILO, 2.2 million people die of work-related accidents and diseases each year. The number may be vastly underestimated due to poor reporting and coverage. Some 5,000 or more women and men around the world lose their lives because of work-related accidents and illness. Interestingly, most workers in the world are not covered by legal preventive measures and will never receive compensation in each of accidents and diseases. It is estimated that 80% of workers in developing economies have never seen an occupational doctor or a labor inspector. Some are even afraid to report accidents for fear of losing their jobs. Quite recently, not too long ago, I should see and hear the campaign against galamsey. I spoke to the Minister of Lands and Forestry. And I spoke to him and I said, well, you guys are doing a good job. He said, but I am shocked that the whole Eastern region has 4 inspectors seeing whether the miners, whether legal small-scale miners or galamsey miners are doing the right thing for. But more importantly, when he got involved and called the inspectors, 2 of them were drunk. Drunk. Didn't know how many people in the area had licenses. And they have been assigned to look at these things in the region. And they're getting paid. And Honorable Amewu fired them immediately. That's what we need. If a factory does not comply with the guidelines of safety, shut it down. You cannot continue to do that. So the world sees Africa as a place they want to develop. So in Rio, a meeting for sustainable development, last year they went to France. Every year somebody's talking about Africa and Ghana, sustainable development. The phrase sustainable development is so popular among big business and politicians and environmentalists and everybody. So it was defined. It's a strategy to meet the needs of the present world population without causing adverse effect on health and on the environment, without depleting or endangering the global resource base, hence without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Let me just break it down. Development is meeting the needs of the present without compromising future generations' need to meet their own demands. That's what it's all about. But everything we do in this country is we want it now and we destroy the future. So next generations will not have to meet their needs. Development and growth can only come when you have space to grow into or resources to fuel that growth. But you cannot grow when you hit the limits. As we say in this country, we don't have money. Trust me. There's a limit to the size of this city and how many people, this city, Accra, and how many people it can comfortably support. We have long surpassed that. So we cannot control our people. Laws are being broken every day. And not only are we breaking laws made by man, we are breaking laws made by God, the rule of nature. If you go to Accra, Adabaka, where I live, God in his generosity and wisdom gave every city some water body. We have the lagoon. Beautiful lagoon stretches from Adabaka all the way to Mile 7 and beyond. Any city with that asset would develop that lagoon where old folks can go and have leisure and breathe good air and have boats traveling on that lagoon. You know what we've done? The lagoon is a garbage can. We throw filth. We throw unwanted babies, ties, feces. And it goes over to the sea. And the sea and water, believe me, have spirit. God says, my rule is my rule. So one day, the sea rejected all the debris, sent it back where it came from. And a regular rain on the fateful day of June 3rd created havoc and pain for our country. Never in the history of this country have we seen flood and fire at the same time. 300 people lost their lives. It wasn't a natural disaster. It was man-made. And the key is we couldn't do anything. The fire service were not equipped enough to stop the fire. We have been programming ourselves since 1960 when I was a child. Accra flooded at Nkrumah Circle. 60 years later, it's still flooding. So those who have been charged, been paid to protect us and our property, to give a safe environment, those who have done that because they omitted their responsibility, or those who did it because they committed a mistake, are still walking around doing the same thing. And as I speak right now, if it rains heavily again, that place will be flooded. What are we? Who are we? And the amazing thing is the 300 bodies that were killed. You know, they threw them in buckets of trucks. One thing people didn't realize, about 140 of them were never identified. Because again, 10 years ago, President Kufuor said we need to have a national identification card where we can tell who is who, where does one work, what record we're keeping. So 140 of them were never identified. They won't tell you, but I'm going to tell you now. Somebody comes from Kintampo or Nanapa and comes to work in Accra. He lives in a compound home. The landlord never sees him. He goes to work every day. He's been doing that 5 years. The only thing they know is his name is Kwaku Kwati, nothing else about him. So when Kwaku Kwati closes from work on that day and gets drowned and dies, nobody knows. I bet you there are some people in villages who think their family member is still here working, and they're dead. Record, data, collection. They're dead. That's the country we have. The country which knows, we know, that you cannot have a filling station between residences. And for some reason, the last few years, this filling station craze, everybody's putting filling stations in places that defy logic and reason. And then one day, some mistake happens, and there's fire, and the person in the right resident loses their life, the left loses their life, and the man who put the gas station there is still going to work, and nothing happens to him. Nothing. How do we as a nation have Coconut Grove engulfed in water and fire? 3 minutes away, there's a fire engine. And there was no water. A fire engine in the heart of Accra, in a highly residential area. Fire breaks out at Coconut Grove, and there's no water. No water. And property and people get hurt and lose their lives. And all going on in the world today, everybody is thinking about building safe highways, dual carriages, and we are interested in building single-lane highways, allowing drivers to drive 150 mph passing each other. Head-on collisions, 20 dead, 40 dead, every day. The only place you have car crashes like plane crashes is here in Ghana. 40 people dead. But somehow, 21st century in 2017, who builds single-lane highways anyway? And the question again becomes, there's no money. In 60 years, our beloved country has not been able to put a superhighways between our number 1 city and number 2 city. And yet, we find it comfortable to build airports in Tamale and Hope. When America started to grow, they built their railways and superhighways before the Wright brothers started thinking about the air. How many people can fly from Tamale to Accra anyway? Ordinary citizens. But they drive. Head-on collisions with cars that are defective, with drivers that are reckless. You go and you see a huge truck disabled on a highway, and for 4 days it stays there until somebody runs their car into it, killing themselves and their families. And the owner of the truck is not punished. How long? How long can we go on like that? And better yet, as you drive by the next 2 days, there's some people underneath the truck trying to fix it on the road, exposing themselves to danger, not only for them, but for other people. We got independence 60 years ago. And when our president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, pronounced Ghana is free forever, and that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs, I thought that included everything. The sovereignty that we had included political freedom, economic freedom, and social freedom. We've grown up to now, and we don't have economic freedom. Because some businessman I read said, in life, you cannot let your outgo exceed your income. If you keep doing that, your upkeep will be your downfall. This statement is right, it's good for an individual, it's good for family, and it's good for a nation. Your outgo should never exceed your income. If you keep on like that, you go bankrupt or you go borrowing. And so we do that and we go borrowing from the IMF. Give up our economic freedom to the IMF. And then they will turn around and tell you, yes, I'm going to give you the money, but there will be conditionalities. From this day forward, don't you hire any more students in the public sector. And you say, yes, sir. They are reducing petroleum all over the world. You cannot reduce at the pump because you owe me money. And we say, yes, sir. Well, you have gold, and some company is going to come, and when they come, they're going to take 90% and 10%, and you say, yes, sir. You have become an economic slave. Last time I read the book, somewhere in Proverbs 22:7, it says, and the borrower will be a slave to the lender. And that's what we do. We borrow to pay bills. We build runways in Kumasi for 29 million. And yet, right there in Kumasi, children, babies who are born are dying, and we have no money to finish the facility. And we keep borrowing. We borrow not to new investment, but we borrow to steal. And in case you want to know who a slave is, just let me remind you. Slaves don't own anything. Slaves have been made to feel less of themselves. Slaves think they don't deserve anything better. Slaves don't eat at the dinner table, they eat crumbs. And that's what we are. Because we have not had a consciousness to build a domestic strong economy where our children, our young people, brilliant, stalwart entrepreneurs will be millionaires here and bring strong capital in our country. So that all these things that we lack will be made here. Our young people. We don't own anything in this country. We don't. There are 35 planes that take off and land in Ghana. We have no market share. There are 6 mobile companies. When you and I say hello, somebody's making money and it's not left here. Our mining sector is gone. So we are, whether we like it or not. We have sovereignty, yes. And because of the theory of equivalence, we may sit with other countries to discuss stuff, but we don't have it. And unless we decide to let development be owned by the people and have them control their resources, so when they go to the bargaining table, they can bargain hard and negotiate out of fear, we're going to remain here. The word, Okyenhene, the landlord. He's the landlord. We need to change. And part of the greatness of leadership is changing. There's nothing special. You're not a smart guy when you dip your hands into the public till and expunge monies and have a destination, Geneva, New York, London, Dubai. And monies that can pay teachers and doctors well. Monies that can build bridges. Monies that can let children, pregnant women and collables sleeping on floors. Those monies could be applied. If you take all that monies and just go and put it somewhere for you and your family, you know what? You are an insensitive, heartless leader. That's what it is. And because of lack of knowledge, because we are not educating our people at the level that we should, friends, it's science and technology. It's computers and engineering now. So you put up a state-of-the-house classrooms, you better correspond to the state-of-the-art teachers. And I tell you, buildings don't teach children. People do. People do. So sometimes let's look into us. And don't let us look at we are superstars. And look at the people that are around us. 3 square meals a day is a luxury. And yet, we buy 100 Land Cruisers at 130,000 pair. And we can't pay teachers. These are all the problem. The poverty in this part of the world are called the poverty without option. Oh yeah, sometimes when you're born into it, from the time you're young to the time you get old, somewhere you call out for death to come to your rescue. The poverty you have in New York and London, other places, yeah, there's poor people there, but there's poverty within opportunity. When you find it, you can relieve yourself of the pain. 40,000 students get out every year. Only 3,000 are absorbed in the work market. What do we do with the 37,000 left? So, yes, let OSH do the things. But if OSH gives us the guidelines and we don't obey, if the employer gives you the guidelines, you don't obey, if the nation gives you laws and you don't obey, we end up being a lawless country, and problems will continue for us. I am just grateful for the opportunity that my friend and brother and this whole organization and the people afforded us to speak on this issue of safety. It is a human need. Security and safety is not something that is a right. So let us pursue that and be good citizens and pray for our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very catchy.